Hi and welcome to TWeK Racing. My channel has now reached over 1,000 subscribers, and most of you guys have all joined within the last month. It's so crazy, I don't know. Yeah, it's taken me by storm. So I thought I would make a special video where it's info about me and stuff like that to celebrate this amazing milestone. Right now I'm actually sitting at 1,700 subscribers. It has slowed down, but hopefully I can hit another spike so we can get out to even more people and hit other more crazy milestones. But 1,700, that's pretty amazing. This video is personal stuff about me, so who am I? And what do I do for a living? And how did I get into racing? And stuff like that. Future achievements for the channel will also unlock other special videos, so hopefully we can get more of you guys subscribed and we can hit the next milestone. That's 10K. Who am I? I am Thomas. I'm 29 years old and I'm married to my lovely wife, who's named Emma. She is right now pregnant with a son, so that's going to be really interesting. She's set to give birth in the end of September. I am a physiotherapist and I work as a personal trainer in a gym, because this way I find that I get a more diverse clientele. So I have like people who want to get strong or do muscle ups or just get a bigger booty or whatever, but I also have people who needs to get back to being able to walk upstairs or just function in their daily living. So I get like a very broad spectrum of physiotherapy, and I find that very interesting. I started racing more seriously back in 2017 when GT Sport was released. I went down and bought a G29 wheel and a Placy Challenge, which I still have, and then I just started grinding. Before that, I had been driving previous GT titles when I was a little kid, but that would just be on a controller, so it did not have the same transferability to real life racing, and I did not take it very seriously. It was just for fun. It was coming down the Fuji straight and seeing if you can hit the guy in front, because then he can break you at the apex and then you passed. But in 2017 I started taking it seriously, and I started to watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to get faster in real life racing as well as in sim racing, and that really helped me along because it helped me to grow faster and gain a lot of experience without having to do all of the mistakes. It's a mentality I have used throughout most of my life. I really want to look up information and learn from people who has been through the struggles themselves or have learned from others and stuff like that, because it just helps you progress that much faster. And I always find it a good solution, especially when you have to learn a new craft, and at this time racing was a new craft for me. I had done a lot of other stuff before, such as Counter-Strike and stuff like that, but usually it got kind of frustrating because I wanted to put more effort into certain activities or sports or games or whatever to be more competitive than the people I knew, and most of the things I did relied on a team. I found it to be a big relief that I was in racing only on my own, and that I could use as much time as I wanted to improve, and that would help me get further because I didn't have to get other people to improve as well. I only had to focus on myself, and the honesty of the clock really was intriguing to me as well. I got into the FIA racing in GT Sport, and from my nation in Denmark I pretty quickly climbed to the top of the leaderboard and was ranked 1 in quite a few seasons, and that was not that big of a challenge for me actually, there was not a lot of drivers from Denmark participating, which made it a lot easier. And overall rank, I was trying to aim to get into the top 50 and top 30 and stuff like that. Top 30 is not easy because it's a very competitive environment in the region I'm in, because I'm in Europe. That gives me the EMEA region that has always been the most competitive region for GT sport. So I figured that I must have some sort of skill, and I started to try out on my birthday and stuff like that, inviting people to go for karting. I hadn't been karting before, and I quickly discovered that only very few could challenge me, and after a few times they couldn't. So I had to find a new challenge. That's when I went to Power Racing Go-Kart Academy, where they had adult teachings. So they had like a beginning team and an advanced team. I figured I'm new. I've only been karting like a few times, and of course I was beating the guys who I was driving against, but they had like no experience either, so that didn't mean a lot. And I felt like I really needed to get down to the basics and get all the basics down, because if you have the fundamentals down, then it's much easier to build on and keep on building. But after one time of driving in the beginning team, I found out that they were way too slow. And I asked the teacher, Christopher Newgod. He's an ex-Le Mans driver, and he's good in a kart and a good teacher and fun and stuff like that. And I asked him if he thought I should try and come at the advanced team, and he said, "Yeah, of course, you can try and come at the advanced team." But he also thought that I should try and come to both teams. So in power racing, it's like on even weeks you go for the rookie hours, and on uneven weeks you go for the advanced class. So I put into my schedule that I would go every week. That way I would get the fundamentals down and learn how to lap slower people in the rookie class, and then in the advanced class I would struggle to hang on to even the slowest guys and hopefully improve quickly. Because the first time I went to the advanced class, I think there's only 2 or 3 guys who finished behind me. I felt like they were all really fast, but after a month or so, I was keeping on the pace of most of them. There's still a handful in the front that I could not get near. Uh, but after a few months, I even started to beat them, and then it became more about what card we had. And of course, the young kids who weigh like 40, 50 kilos, I was never able to stay on or hang on to them because they're just so fast. They're like 1 second a lap quicker just from their weight. So and the track is very hard to overtake on. That doesn't help a lot, because every time you get on a straight, they just pull like 3 or 4 kart lengths, and you have no chance of attacking into the next corner, even though you're faster and better skill wise in the corner. You're not gonna catch them. And even more so, some of these kids are actually very good skill wise as well, and they're just gonna be driving away, because if they're even close to the same skill level as me, but they're that much lighter, then they're just gonna be 1 second ahead of me every lap. And on a lap that only goes for 30 seconds, that's quite a big margin. But I started to get into being the same level as the fast guys on the team, who had the same around the same weight as me, and it started to be more about who got the good kart. Because at rental kart centers, it's always going to be about who gets the fastest kart. It's going to be a little bit about that, and then it's also going to be about skill, of course, but it matters a lot. Usually there's like half a second difference on a fast kart and a slow kart at, at, at that place, and that is a lot. And if you don't have the top speed, then it's very hard to overtake on that track, because in general a very hard track to overtake on, because there's not a lot of straights and you never really get into big braking zones. When I was still karting there, I found out that there was an opportunity to rent a racing kart at an outdoor track. So I figured I want to try that. I want to see how it is to drive a real racing kart. And my God, they're fast. They go so quick, and the grip is intense. So the rental karts that you drive at the outdoor track in Roskilde are around 70 kilometers an hour on the top speed. But when you drive the racing karts, they go 70 in the corners. So that's like their lowest point. When you're driving the slowest, you go 70, and on the top you go over 100. And if you drive it over the limit, it's gonna bounce and grab on to the asphalt like very, very rapidly. And that's like getting a big hit in the side every time, because every time you grab onto the ground with your wheels, it pulls around 1.6 1.7 G's. So after only 3 or 4 laps, I was really feeling it. It was hard, it was tough, and I I was getting completely dry in my mouth and stuff like that. But I just thought, no, I bought this half an hour, I'm gonna drive through, I'm just gonna do it, and I'm not gonna complain. So I just kept on going, and it's so much fun. But at that point I really realized as well that I need to get one of those carts for myself, and that's when I started saving up for a cart like that. So we made a budget, and all the money I didn't spend on the budget for karting that month would go on the savings to get my own cart. And right now I'm hoping that this channel as well can make that dream come true, and hopefully I can find some sort of series where I can bring the camera and document real racing karts as well, because it's way more intense, it goes way faster, and it requires more skill and setup. Of course, it requires a lot of money as well, because people bring like 2 or 3 sets of tires to one weekend, and those tires are not cheap. So, but I figured that was fun, and I was pretty much on the pace, half a second to a second off what people usually would drive in those karts, and that was my first time in the kart. So I was feeling pretty good, and I was thinking, I need to try more of this. I need to try and go to tracks. I need to see how does all this translate to real life. I was looking for a lot of videos on the subject, but it was hard to find, and a lot of people said that the skill didn't transfer, but my experience was that it transferred very well. And like all the people I knew who hadn't been sim racing were so much slower than me when we got in the kart, even before I got all the training. So it definitely translates a lot. We went the same summer on a vacation across Europe, and we took our own personal car out for a few laps of the Nordschleife, Nürburgring Nordschleife on Touristenfahrten. It's a super amazing community down there. I cannot recommend it enough. If you have a car and you live in Europe, you need to go there. You don't have to blow your tires off. You don't have to drive as fast as you can. The Touristenfahrten is not really a driving as fast as you can. It's about just enjoying the road and enjoying the community and the cars. And there's so many cool cars down there, and cool people, and people are super friendly. And even on track, people are very good at following the rules and overtaking only on the left, and not coming for crazy dive bombs or doing stuff like that to risk both of our cars. You do have to pay if you crash into a wall, so even if other people crashes into you and then you end up crashing into a wall, you have to pay, but it's very rare. After Nürburgring, we went to Hockenheim as well, bit less friendly. It was more a tuner crowd. The Hockenheimring is really more of a power track, and people were taking on the right and on the left, so it was more scary to drive there in a slow car because we were driving in a MX-5 Miata 1.8. I only had 146 horsepower, and most people down there had above 300, so they were just flying past me on the straights, and there were so many cars on the track at the same time. It was a lot of fun, and I got to challenge myself and attempt more to find the limit of the car and find out what happens when I cross the limit and stuff like this. Because when I was driving on the Nordschleife Nürburgring, I knew that if I crossed the limit and got an oversteer moment, and it was too big of an oversteer moment, then I would end up running out of road and going on the grass and hitting the wall. And I was not interested in that because we still had to go to Le Mans and finish the vacation, and we didn't want to ruin the car. But at Hockenheim, we have a lot of runoff like modern F1 tracks, so I could push more to the limit and cross the level of grip. It was a lot of fun as well. And later on that vacation, we went to Le Mans. At Le Mans, I won a sim racing challenge that TWeK has put up. It was a VR race on Race Room, I think. I didn't know the game at the time. It was my first time trying it, but I won, like, got the fastest time 4 out of 5 days. There's a lot of racing enthusiasts down there, so I was pretty proud of winning that. But the first prize, I could only win it once, but the first prize was to come back later the same year to drive an LMP car around the track at Le Mans. And I must say that's the most amazing experience. Like, just getting into the car, getting strapped in with the 6-point, I think it was the 6-point harness, and just putting it into the gear and driving out of the pit lane, and the first laps going around the track and going under the Dunlop Bridge and everything like that. So amazing. This car did not have traction control or ABS, and I realized that I knew before I came there that I was not good at braking, because GT Sports doesn't teach you how to brake, because you just go on full brake even if you drive a Formula 1 car, and you have no problem because the ABS will help you out. So I was not that confident on the brake going into that event. But that was when I realized I need to evolve and move on from GT Sport and start driving more serious simulators. That was when I got into iRacing. And I must say, iRacing has been amazing. It's great for car control and braking and racing lines, and everything is laser scanned. The competitive spirit of driving that platform is unrivaled. You get the same match setup as you would in GT Sport, where you can always log on and get a race with others of similar skill level. But the big difference is that you have this more realistic engine. GT Sport is realistic in a lot of ways, but just not on the brakes. And the brakes are super important. It's one of the most important things when racing. Even Lewis Hamilton is, like, a lot of his skill is just that he is so good on the brakes, and he was pushed to be that way by his father, but that skill is so important. And I also found out that in iRacing, people are way more dedicated. So for an FIA race, which is the most important race in GT Sport, people would usually practice like half an hour, maybe try one practice race where you couldn't run the race before the race, so you had to do like your own practice session and just imitate the conditions of the race to see what was fastest. And if I did like a practice race for a half an hour or something like that, I would be very competitive. If I go in iRacing and do half an hour of practice, I'm not competitive at all, because people put in 5 or 6 hours. Some people put 5 or 6 hours a day, but 5 or 6 hours just for that one race, and drive the race all week, and it's a whole different ball game. You need a lot more dedication to be competitive in iRacing, and it's also very difficult. But it's a lot of fun, and yeah. This was just a brief video about me. Once again, thank you so much for subscribing and liking my videos. It truly helps a lot. Those likes really helps my videos getting exposed to more people, so more people will join this channel. And I will release another special video when we hit the next milestone. The next milestone is going to be 10k subs, so 10,000 subscribers. It seems far in the future, but I believe it's possible, and with the help of more of you guys, then it will be. So hopefully we'll hit that. But hope you liked the video. This was TWeK Racing. See you next time.